Hello and welcome to episode 92 of the Lofty Loops Yarns podcast. My name is Allison. I'm the dyer behind Lofty Loops Yarns, and I make videos here on YouTube about what I've been up to, what I'm knitting, what I'm crocheting, sometimes cross stitch. It has made an appearance as of late, and just dye studio videos, things like that. Because it has been so long since I've sat down to chat, I have so many things to share with y'all. I've been keeping notes since I sat down last of just what I've been working on, what's been finished, what I'm planning, all of the things, and as you can see, there is a lot to go over. So I had debated on breaking this into two separate episodes just because there was so much, but then with my track record, I'm like, no, we're just gonna sit down, we're gonna plow through, and it's all gonna be one long episode. So I'll try not to spend too much time on any given project just to keep like the train moving. But if I don't cover something or you want more detail on something, please don't hesitate to comment down below, and I can either go into more detail in a future episode or I'll just respond if it's an easy enough response to comment back to. If you'd like to follow me on social medias, you can find me most active over on Instagram as Lofty Loops. That does also get posted over to Threads and Facebook. Threads is also a place where I just kind of dump random thoughts. So if that's something you're into, you can check that out as well. Yeah, and everywhere else you can find me on the internet, I'll leave links down in the description box below. I've got my handy dandy list so I don't forget anything. Like I said, it's going to be a lot to go over. I've been a busy bee, both in the studio and outside the studio, just in terms of personal making and crafting and things. So lots to talk about, super exciting things to talk about. Some big projects are done, some big projects are almost done, and Advent season is right around the corner. And so be prepared, get excited. So grab yourself a drink, grab a snack, grab a blanket. I don't even know. This is going to be so long. Pop it on in the background if you've got chores to do. And if you've clicked on the video, thank you so much. Welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And thank you for your patience. And yeah, let's just jump into it because I could sit here and blather forever, but we're going to start talking about finished objects first. And probably the most exciting finished object. I was planning on wearing it for you today, but because it is an oddly 70-degree Fahrenheit day in the middle of November in Nebraska, where I'm from, I was not about to put this on and hang out here. So I would be a sweaty mess, but have worn it when it was chillier, looking very much forward to wearing it as it gets cooler throughout the winter months. But this is my Doppio sweater. I have wanted to make a Doppio for the longest time, ever since they hit the scene really, and I saw so many amazing Doppio versions, so many different colors, just all the things. And so happy to say I finally finished one. I do have some footage of me trying it on for a cute little Instagram reel, so I'll insert that so you can kind of see the fit. But this may make an appearance in later episodes as the weather gets colder. I knit the size 5. I don't remember for sure what the sizing amounts to, but there's loads of positive ease in this without feeling too overly bulky, which I love. The yarn that I used is a mixture. So back in 2023, I purchased quite a few sweater quantities. And then they sat in a tote for the longest time, and I felt really bad because I wanted to use them. And I decided to pair 2 different sweater quantities together to make the Doppio. Because if you're unfamiliar, you want to use 2 strands of fingering weight yarn plus a lace weight yarn, and you hold all of those together to create this beautiful, just marled mixture. So my first sweater quantity was You Belong Here, and I believe that was from the Riverdale collection from Treehouse Knits. And then I had a sweater quantity from Long Dog Yarn in the White Wizard on her merino fingering base. And then I also got enough mohair lace and her Lothlorian colorway to hold together. Because that was my original intention, was doing the White Wizard plus Lothlorian to do some sort of thing, but tossing You Belong Here into it just made it chef's kiss. The White Wizard was very much, it was a very subtle variegated yarn with just kind of some light blues and very light teals and whites and just a very muted, variegated, pretty colorway. And then Lothlorian was a darker blue, kind of gray-green mohair. But then You Belong Here was a really light speckled colorway. So that's where you could see all those pops of colors coming in. Love it so much. I don't know if there's much more I can say about this other than I knit it pretty straightforward to pattern, except I completely forgot the side detail that you're supposed to do with like a faux hem, I think is what it's supposed to be. And then I also didn't do any decreases on the body. I just knit straight down. So I like the looser, boxier fit. And yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. I love the fit. It could be just a skosh longer, but the jeans I was wearing in the footage that I took, they ride a little lower, and so my high-waisted jeans, this should be perfect. Super happy to have that all done. It went very, very quickly because you use large needles with this, and so basically was just stockinette for days. I will definitely be making another one. I really want to make one without the fluff and just hold multiple strands of fingering weight together, just to have variety. And like I said, when it gets really humid here, having that mohair or even Surrey alpaca is a bit much next to skin feel for me. So yeah, I just want to have a second version without the fluff. There are dogs barking outside. I do have my window cracked because, like I said, it's a gorgeous autumn day. Hopefully it doesn't get too distracting and pick up on the microphone. There's also people walking their dogs by the house and crunching in leaves, which I personally love the sound of, but hopefully it doesn't get too annoying. I may pause and kind of rewatch some of the footage back just to make sure in case I need to adjust for the rest of the video. But the next super exciting finished object, and I cast this on immediately because I couldn't stop thinking about it, is my Ooey Gooey cowl. This is of course a pattern by Andrew Mowry. This is the first Ooey Gooey anything that I have knit. This was also my first jump into using Spincycle yarns. I originally had intended to use my own handspun because Lord knows I have a ton of handspun stash, but I wanted to see what the Spincycle hype was about. And so I did end up, I could share it here maybe without toppling all of this over, back to the Ooey Gooey. So when it launched, Farmer's Daughter Fibers had a bunch of kits listed in the shop, and I fell in love with this kit that they had put together right here. So I went ahead and ordered it. Let's see, just says kit number 4. It's Dirty Little Secret on the Spincycle dyed in the wool. Just really gorgeous pinky, purple, red, really warm tones. And then let's see, trying not to rustle too much. It's Mini Moons on their Odin, which is a Surrey alpaca lace weight. This was my original plan. However, it took a really, really long time for me to get a shipping notification. So that made me wonder if, one, they're just really backed up because they had a ton of kits that they listed. And I know that they were some of the dyers that were originally in the pattern design. So I wonder if they just got like inundated with tons of stuff, or if maybe they had to wait on some order. I don't know what the case was, but it took a really long time. Like I was saying, this took a really long time to get in the mail, and it had been probably, I want to say like a solid week, and I still hadn't received any shipping. And if you're like me and you cast on itis hits and you have to cast something on immediately in the moment, I'm with you, because that's how I felt. I was like, I have to get this on my needles. I don't want to wait any longer. I can't wait any longer. And so I don't remember. I might have jumped on Spincycle's website. I think that I did, just to look. Like I said, I had never purchased anything from them before. I was just poking around on their site, and I found a couple skeins of Something Wicked, which is this really pretty, I wish I had a full skein picture to share, but really, really pretty green, blue, brown, much different than the original kit that I wanted. So went ahead, ordered that, and apparently a few other things fell in my cart. Whoops. And I don't remember exactly where all of these came from. You'll see another one in another project here in a bit, but I think I also grabbed Wallflower. And again, I can't remember which of this came from directly from Spincycle and which came from Farmer's Daughter's Fibers while I was looking on their site as well. But this is Wallflower. Again, dyed in the wool, and Fine Line. These are just single skeins. I just grabbed them because they spoke to me. But I ended up using that Something Wicked for this. And then for the Surrey alpaca, I actually grabbed some from my own shop, because what's a dyer to do? You shop your own stock, apparently. So I grabbed a skein of the shade from my previous collection that I had, and it's this really pretty kind of gray blue base. And I also had a skein of, I think, the Migration, which was from the same collection, but a brighter blue. And I held those two together. And so really, you can't even tell that they're two different. I think that's what I did. Pretty sure that's what I did. I held two different blue-gray tones of my Surrey alpaca together. And really, in the end, it worked out beautifully because I love it so much. I will say I'm not a huge fan of these colors here, just because I feel like they're so wildly different from the rest of the blue-green vibe, but I don't hate it. I think I used almost an entire 2 skeins of the Spincycle, and I will absolutely be using the other kit to make another one. And I might actually make the next one a little longer, because I know I had extra Spincycle left, and I know I had extra of the fluff left. And so just like a smidgen, just so it's a little drapier, maybe one more extra repeat. We'll see, we'll play. But yeah, I love this. It's gonna be super cozy and nice to wear this winter under a jacket. I love that I have so many cowls, and a lot of the cowls I have are very long, and I wrap them multiple times, and they're really bulky, they're beautiful. But I also really kind of like having this more tight to my neck, less on the chest, so when you close your coat, you're not like suffocating and trying to breathe and whatever. But I love it. Happy. I knit it. It went so fast off my needles, so fast. I can't even begin to tell you how quickly I knit this. So that is my Ooey Gooey cowl. What else did I did, apparently I grabbed, that's what fell. I grabbed 2 skeins of the Fine Line because I was debating between these 2 plus Something Wicked. And I ultimately chose Something Wicked. But now that I'm looking at these are also gorgeous. I'm obsessed. I have no business buying Spincycle because I have so much Handspun, but sometimes you just want to cake something up quick and roll. Next up, I'm going to share cute little Gnettle. This was also a first for me. I saw that Imagine Landscapes was doing their fall, autumn, October mystery knit along, gnome along. I've never knit a gnome, and I always see them pop up on my feed, and I think that they're just the sweetest, cutest little thing. And I needed something small and fun because I had finished so many larger projects. And so I decided, out of the mystery knit along, gnome along, you had either Gnettle or, Grumple, Numple. I can't remember what the other one's name is, but I decided to go for the witchy vibe, which ends up giving her this cute little witch hat. They are both pumpkin bodies, so you can see here. They've got pumpkin bodies. The pumpkin version, I forget his name. Anyway, not Gnettle has a pumpkin stem up here for a hat instead of a witch hat. So this is much pointier. It's got some little, like, I don't know, just witchy vibes. Cutie little nose. The hair, I love. This was so fun to do. The other version doesn't have hair, but he has like a cute little beard. And then she's got these adorable little witch legs with her little striped stockings and boots. The other version also has striped stockings, but they're slightly different. And I thought for sure I would make one of him too, and I didn't. I finished this and I set her up for my Halloween decorations and then just completely forgot to go back to do the other one. But I think she's adorable. The yarn I used was just random leftover scraps. I went with the witchy vibe, and Halloween obviously, so orange, black, purple seemed like a pretty good mix. And I just think she's so stinking cute. I love her little nose. I love her little legs. And she will absolutely come out to hang out every fall now for Halloween decorations. It was really cute. I actually ended up buying a full book. I don't have it close to me, otherwise I'd share it. I bought one of Imagine Landscape's book of gnomes, and I can't remember for sure the name. Obviously I'll have it down in the notes down in the description box, and I can put a picture in if I remember, but it's over in my bookshelf in my other room. So fun, had a lot of fun, super cute way to use up scraps, and it was, I will say, a slightly fiddly, just because you're using like small needles, and especially those itty bitty little tiny details are pretty fiddly, but honestly the end result is so stinking cute that, like, why not? So I would love to have a little gnome village or something to like put along the mantle. I don't have a mantle, maybe my bookshelf, something, you know, like, yes, whatever. This is going swimmingly. The rest of my finished objects are all going to be socks-ish, sort of, yes. I've got 3 pair of socks to share. They are all from Freckled Whimsy because I love Carrie's yarn, and I'm not gonna apologize for that. I have lots of Freckled Whimsy and I'm happy about it. So let me see if I can remember which one is which. First up, these are not in order of completion. They're just, this was on the blocker, so I'm sharing them first. This is Hello Winter. And if you're unfamiliar with Carrie or Freckled Whimsy's yarns, they are all self-striping colorways. And so she does do monthly clubs as well as some special other monthly clubs. So I think there's like one inspired by nature right now. There's one inspired by Wednesday, the series, and so they're really, really fun to get just new yarns in the mail each month. I am currently receiving her monthly club as well as the Wednesday club. Yeah, I can't remember for sure which ones of these came in my clubs and which ones I just went to her website to purchase when she had extras left over before I had ended up joining, so like previous months. So sorry, but I don't know if any of these are available. If you're curious, best thing to do is go check out her website and see what she's got to offer. So I believe this is Hello Winter. Super pretty muted colors. I'm only gonna put one on the blocker to save time. This one is Ghosts in the Graveyard. I love that there's this stripe of gray in between each one of the colors. Oh, and the blue alternates as well. And then you get different colors throughout. Some of these I did get mini skeins for, coordinating minis. Other ones I might have had in my stash. I can't remember, but that is something that she does offer in her clubs. You can get a mini skein alongside the full skein if you choose. I recently switched, so I'm not getting a mini skein just because I do have so many scraps and minis left over that I'm like, I might as well use what I have if I can make something work. Other times I like to just plow through and not change the yarn at all and just do the full sock in the same colorway and not have contrasting heels, toes, or cuffs. And this is Something Magical, I believe. Oh, nope, it's just called Magical. Really, really pretty. I knit all of my socks with a US 1.5 or 2.25 millimeter needle. I am really into knitting with circular needles now, so 9-inch circulars. I always do a 2x2 rib for the cuff, usually around 20 rounds. And then for me, I do 50 to 60 rounds for the leg. Love a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. And then I usually end up with about 45 to 50 rounds for the foot, for my size foot, and then just do a wedge toe to end with. If you're interested, I do have all of that created into like my vanilla sock pattern. I think it's a couple dollars on Ravelry. I just kept notes for myself when I was early on in my sock knitting and realized that was always I would fall back to that all the time. And so I just decided to create a pattern in case anyone else wanted it or needed it. So there is 3 pair of socks that I can now add into my sock drawer because I have officially talked about them on the podcast. My little stack of things that I had waiting was getting very large, and I'm happy to now have socks that I can wear, especially because my toes are getting cold because the weather is changing. As I mentioned, sometimes I don't even use contrast. This is an example. I did not use a contrast here. I started the heel flap and gusset at the end of this color. So when the color changed, you can see I think I have 1 row there where it turned pink, but then, or pinkish gray, mauve, whatever color that is. And then I went back around and started working through the heel flap and gusset, and it just so happens with my gauge and the amount of rounds I can get in each stripe, it like almost worked out perfectly where I finished the heel turn and picked up gusset, and it just like magically had the perfect amount there. So you can kind of see, or maybe I had 1 row, but that doesn't bother me at all. Oh, here it's more obvious where you can see that 1 row, and that must have been, maybe that was at the end of the heel turn, picking up gusset stitches. But it blends so well with the purple that like, no one's gonna know. I'll know, but I don't care. And then it'll be in my shoes. And if anyone's staring that hard, like, weird. Okay, now I'm going to jump into works in progress, and we'll just carry on with the sock theme, because I've been working through socks very quickly lately. I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like, well, maybe the last episode was like that as well. I feel like I keep going through these kind of lulls where I'm like, meh, kind of over it. And then other times I'm like, must knit all the socks. And I don't know why it comes and goes like that. And maybe it's because the weather is changing, and I was very excited to see the end of summer and head into fall, because that is my favorite time of year. And I know that here in Nebraska, it does get rather cold, and we do tend to get quite a bit of snow. And so my favorite thing is not going out in the snow. I hate driving in it. But if I am lucky enough to be able to stay indoors in some cozy knits with a cup of coffee and a book or a nice show, it's just like with the tree up, with the ambiance, it's just like my favorite time of year. But before we even hit winter, I love fall. I love crunchy leaves. I love spooky season. I love everything pumpkin. I didn't get any candy corn this year, which my husband just made me realize the other day. He said he went to get me a treat because he knew I was kind of having a rough time with, just overwhelmed with Advents and all these things. And I'm sorry for the side tangent that we're going off here, but he stopped and got me a little treat, which ended up being chocolate, chocolate truffles. But he did say that he looked specifically for candy corn because he knows how much I love candy corn. And if anyone out there is hating on candy corn, I don't even know if we can be friends, because candy corn is legit the best thing ever. I will die on that hill. My favorite are the pumpkins in the harvest mix. And sadly, he said when he went to go pick some up, they were gone. Like, they've completely gotten rid of all of their Halloween candy. All of that stuff is gone, and it's completely taken over with Christmas things now. So when he said that, he's like, you haven't even had candy corn this year. And I was like, oh, I haven't had candy corn at all this year. So now I'm like, now it's gone. I don't even know if I can get it anymore. So now I might have to go to the grocery store and see if I can hunt maybe in their bargain bins to see if they, anyway, all that to say, my sock knitting mojo has skyrocketed because the cold weather and the fun seasons of the year are upon us. And I was feeling obviously the spooky vibes leading up to Halloween. And so I cast on another pair of Freckled Whimsy self-striping socks. And I forget the name of these. Oh, Witching Hour. And I love the Halloween vibe. This was one I did have a mini already somewhere that I just used. I did not get a mini skein with this, so I just used it for the heel flap, and everything else I just carried on with the self-striping through the toe and did it for the cup as well. I have come up with a way to where I can start with the top of a stripe on some of these socks. I've been doing it in the last few where I pull the yarn until I get to a color change. At that color change is where I would start my long tail cast on or my German twisted cast on, whatever I'm using for a sock. It would result, let me see if I can find one. Yes. So it would result in having one round of the previous color. So I don't know if you can tell really that gray there right before the light purple starts, which is fine. That's what I have been doing for the past few socks. And then that way I can have an almost exact replica of the left and the right sock. This one, I pulled it back just enough to where the color change was on the tail of my long tail cast on, but I had enough to where I could cast on my 64 stitches without hitting that previous color. And so this first stripe is just a smidgen shorter than the rest, but honestly, if I hadn't told you, you probably wouldn't have even thought about it. But now I've got a nice clean cast on without having that previous color. Especially here, it would have been that gray and it would have been really obvious in contrast. So just, I don't know, pro tip, I guess. Not even pro tip, just a tip. Yeah, that's how I've been doing it. So with the second sock that I did cast on, I knew that I needed to start with the black, gray, orange. And so I've yarn managed, pulled the yarn out of the cake until I found where I could start with that same spot. So I've been working my way through these. I've just picked up gusset stitches and I'm working my way through gusset decreases. So it's going pretty well. I will say this morning, and this is 100% my fault, I don't know how much you can tell, but this knuckle right here, it looks much better than it did this morning, but it was very swollen, very red, and very angry. And I think that's because I went really hard on knitting on one of my projects last night, and then when I took a break from that, I switched to another project that had a lot of purling in it, and then I was picking up, wasn't really purling in this, but I was definitely like, I don't know, it must have just been a perfect mixture of the fact that I purled a lot last night and I was knitting brioche flat, which is a lot of purling. I either sprained my finger or I have like arthritis and I just made it really angry. But today, like earlier, I wasn't able to make a fist with my finger. Now I'm, after having medicated and rubbed some ointment and all the things on it, I iced it as well. I'm finally able to sort of almost make a full fist. So I did stop knitting on socks last night because I could tell my hands were getting angry with me. So the joys of getting older. So that's where I'm at. Once I do feel better and I can actually get back to this, I feel like the rest of the foot's gonna fly. I have a stitch marker from Brandy of Long Dog Yarn. This was part of her Villainous collection that she had a while back. She had stitch marker sets made. And so this is, I've got a little poisoned apple on there, which I felt was fitting with the vibe. Let's see. Nothing else much to say about this. I've got it living in this cute little sock pouch that I've had for eons. This is from Knit One and Sew Two. It's just a cute little perfect sock sized pouch. I have gotten really bad at keeping my projects in bags, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if I have bags, I'm just not using them, or no, you know what the problem is? The bags that I do have are already full of unfinished objects that are languishing and not getting any attention. Really, they're just taking up space in bags that I do need. But if anyone knows of some super cute bags, especially for like bigger projects, like sweaters, blankets, especially as we head into kind of Advent season, those are going to be bigger projects. If anyone has like your favorite bag makers, small business bag makers, leave comments below because I would love to procure some new bags for myself because it's been eons since I've purchased any bags. So, next thing I'm going to chat about is it's a work in progress, but also kind of on hiatus, but also sort of, I don't know how to explain it. I'll just talk about it. I've been getting Georgie of the Fiber Fox. I've been getting her and her husband Ben. They dye the most gorgeous yarn over in the UK. I've been getting their advents for the past few years, and 2 years ago was this gorgeous, almost like very warm, kind of dusty rose, autumnal, really pretty palette. And I originally had started crocheting a different blanket and then it wasn't speaking to me, and then it sat for the longest time because I wanted to find the perfect project for it, and then ultimately decided I was just gonna make granny squares with each mini. And so I've been slowly, steadily working through all of the minis. I've officially got all 24 done. I won't hold up all 24, but just so you can kind of see the vibe of the palette here. Super pretty. A lot of these have really like nuanced variegation and speckles. It's kind of hard to see in this light. And then being a granny square, it kind of makes it even more difficult to see all the variation. Yeah, like I said, I've got 24 squares all done. I did hold each mini double. So it was a fingering weight calendar, 20 gram minis. I held each one of them double to make a DK weight, and then did just a basic in the round granny square. I think I used a 4mm hook, if I recall correctly, and I was able to get 7 rounds before I ran short on yarn. So that's what I did. I just went through all 24. Here's the rest of them. Really, really pretty. And then I was like, great, I have all 24 granny square blocks. Let's put it together for a blanket. And I laid them out on the floor, and I was like, that is not gonna make a very big blanket. It might make a baby blanket or a lap blanket, but I wanted more of a throw, like I can have on the couch, and it would relatively cover most of my body, if not the whole thing. So then I was like, great, now I'm at a stalemate again because I have no clear path forward. And I knew I wasn't getting one of the Fiberfox Advents this year. And also like the palette is so specific that I feel like any other one it would not vibe. And so I was like, okay, well, do I just suck it up and do a small blanket? And then it dawned on me, what if, and I'm gonna show you this cute little, my cute little like mock-up I made of my idea. I was like, and I took this picture. This is not my picture, but I found this, I think, on Ravelry of what the minis looked like. So I took this and then I used the color dropper tool and I just made squares and then picked colors from each mini. So sort of same vibe. But then I was like, what if I alternated each one with not a bare yarn, but like just a solid color. And then that way I would end up with 48 squares. That in turn would end up being a much bigger blanket. So I was like, I had a colorway, good tonal semi-solid that I dyed a few years back when I was working on some colorwork sweaters. And I was like, oh, that would be the perfect color to go with these. It would fit the vibe. And so I dyed myself up a couple skeins to start of my enoki colorway, which is a mushroom. So it's kind of this just mushroomy light brown tan. It's got a little bit of pink undertones while also feeling it's very taupe. Taupe would be a great word for this. And so I think if I make enough 24 granny squares using this enoki colorway, and then I pair it with all of these, and I'm not going to do borders on any of the colors, I'm just going to seam them all together without borders. I think that'll work. I may do a large border around the whole thing by the time I'm done, just to tie it all in together. I haven't got that far. In my little mock-up, I decided to like add a dark brown border just to kind of, I don't know, make it feel like one full piece. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. I did try some, I think it's right here. I did pick up some of this delicate DK loops and threads from Michael's just because I wanted to test my theory out. And at the time I was in the middle of Advent dyeing, so the last thing I wanted to do was dye yarn for myself. And so I was like, well, maybe I can get away with this. And I tried one square, I didn't like it. It didn't feel the same. It was too different. The yarn is great. It's nice and soft, and I will be using it for something else. It was structurally, it was not the same as the rest of the base that Georgie and Ben use. And I do know this base is the exact same. So consistency's sake, that's what I needed. Also, this is a DK, so I wouldn't hold this double. I was just crocheting, and then that next to the fingering weight held double, it looked too different. But this is really nice. It is delicate DK, like I said, loops and threads. It's an acrylic blend, 70% acrylic, 30% polyamide. It's got the twist on it is relatively loose, I think, which was throwing me. It didn't feel as structurally sound as the other one did, but it would be lovely and drapey in like a baby blanket. I have other ideas. I did end up getting 2 of these just so like I could make sure I had same dye lot, even though now looking at it, it doesn't look like same dye lot on camera. Yeah, so that was my attempt. I definitely think it could work, but if I was going to do this again and use this, I would pick up different colors in this and make the whole blanket this same yarn, just because they were too different, in my opinion. For me, it was messing with my brain and I didn't like it. So that is going on my short list of things that will be upcoming in the near future. And also I'm very pleased with myself for making this cutie little mock-up because it helped my brain picture this so much more. This is living in a bag, and this is actually a Christmas bag that I've been using for the majority of the year. Not the majority, I guess I just pulled it out fairly recently, but it is a Christmas bag from Mountain State Stitches from I think a couple advents ago, can't remember. Super cute little reindeer. Perfect now when I was knitting on this, you know, back in like July, August, maybe not, but whatever. At the same time that I cast on the Ooey Gooey, I also saw a Rad Plaid Cowl knit by one of the sisters from Table 10. I adored that Rad Plaid Cowl and knew I wanted to make one for myself. And so I ended up casting one on, and it quickly got thrown to the side because I was loving the Ooey Gooey so much. And this one, while easy to knit, as you can see here is a little example, the yarn management and getting these yarns all twisted around and the cakes, and it was driving me bonkers, and it still does. Every time I sit down and work on this for a while, my yarns get so tangled, it frustrates me, and I get mad and I set it aside. It's not hard to knit at all. It's a bunch of just slip stitches. This is another pattern by Andrea Mowry, I should say. Knit in the round, just like the Ooey Gooey. There's a provisional cast on, so you can see this blue pop here. And then yeah, you just go in the round until it's the length that you want it, and then eventually you seam it together. I think with Kitchener stitch probably, but that's where I'm at with that. Like I said, I still work on this from time to time. It's been sitting next to the couch out in the living room, so I'll pick it up just kind of when I need something mindless to work on. But the tangle issue of all of these yarns drives me batty. I do, however, love the shifting of the colors of the Spincycle. And so this again was another Spincycle led project. Love my little David Eat Glass stitch marker on there. So this dyed in the wool was a mixture between Rusted Rainbow and Wallflower. So just lots of really pretty, it's got like a rusty red, some darker browny reds. I apparently just worked through a blue section that I don't know that I realized was in there, but it's just a really fun colorway. And that's, I think, one of the most exciting parts about Spincycle, because I just never know what to expect next from the yarn. Obviously in skein form you can kind of see what you're gonna get, but it's really fun to work it up in a project and see it change. And along with that, so this pattern calls for a skein of Spincycle, something fluffy, and then a fingering weight. And I went stash diving for this and found a old stashed skein of a single ply yarn from Suburban Stitcher. I believe the colorway name is Demure. It's just this really pale pink I thought would work nicely as a background color or contrast color. And then this one is a new to me yarn, which I love, obsessed with. This is Yarnaceous Fibers in the Cosmo Cash lace. So this is a, I want to say, I think it's a brushed merino or brushed cashmere. So there is no alpaca, there is no mohair, there is none of those wools in here. It is just merino and cashmere. This is what it looks like in skein form. This is not the same colorway. I grabbed two because I wasn't quite sure which one I wanted to use. So there is Their cute little logo there. So this is 82% fine merino wool and 18% cashmere, and it is brushed, and so it gives off that same halo soft squishy vibe as a Surrey alpaca or a mohair silk lace would, without having those wools in it. And so if you are sensitive to those animal fibers, or I know a few people they have an allergy where they can't be around those fibers, this would be a fantastic base to substitute in. It is 316 yards per 50 grams, and it's a lace weight yarn, obviously. And yeah, I love it. I love working with it. It's so soft, and it honestly, like, it's nice because I don't end up with just fluffy fluff all over myself every time I'm working with it. So I really, really like it. Highly recommend. I was on the hunt to maybe stock that base, but still looking for a reliable source. So that is the Rad Plaid. It will likely go on hiatus and be put to the back burner for a little while because, as I mentioned, Advent season is upon us. I have things that I want to work on through December and things that I want to finish up for November, and unfortunately this just didn't make the cut, but I might circle back to this in January, or, you know, still work on it slowly from time to time. It will likely remain next to the couch out in the living room, just so I can pick it up whenever the mood strikes me. This is sort of a finished object, but also something that I'm considering a whip just because I want to make more before Christmas. But I cast on, I'm gonna have to pull it up because I'm not gonna remember the name. I wanted to make just some easy, quick crochet gift sets for people for the holidays. And so I wanted to try using Bev's Turn On Itself pot holder, which is a really intuitive and fun pattern. This one's a little small. It obviously would work nice, you know, under a pot. It's still a pot holder. It's just next time I'm going to be casting on more stitches or chaining more, whatever, for the starting chain. It might be hard to see here, but it did get seamed up right here in the middle. It is a free pattern, and I won't explain too much about it just because you can go, I'll leave a link to it down below and you can go see how the construction works, but it is very ingenious how this all comes together. Let's see what else to say. Also, I made a note in my Ravelry project page that I started with a 4mm, and that felt a little small. It's a little dense to me, so I'm going to try to size up for the next one. But this was just using some, I think I just used Knit Picks Dishy that I've had in stash for a long time. So it is double thick. Like I said, it's really ingenious how it works up, and then you add just a little hangy doodle on there. And then I wanted to go ahead and make kind of a matching washcloth. And so these are just easy to whip up on the couch. So I'm sitting watching TV, whatever. They go really quickly. I think this I made in probably half hour, 45 minutes, if that. Same with the washcloth. They're really fast. I made these both in the same evening. Let's see. My notes say that the washcloth was made on the fly. I chained 31 to start, and then I did moss stitch for 38 rows. And then afterwards, I ended up finding a pattern, which I linked in my Ravelry. And so I can add that link down below if you're interested, but just something similar to refer back to. But yeah, I was just kind of playing, just crocheting. I do have a lot of Dishy in my stash, as I said, and so I would love to continue making, you know, like a pot holder and maybe 2 or 3 washcloths as gift sets to then give to people for Christmas, for the holidays. I also really want to make some for myself because the crochet washcloths I have they've seen some better days. They've got some holes. They need to be replaced. So figured I would share those quickly. I've got 2 projects on my works in progress list that are my main priority. I would love to get them done by the end of November. As time ticks away, here we are, I think it's the 13th of November, so we've got about 2.5 weeks left. That's not a lot of time. So, and now with a old lady knuckle that I've got going on, we'll see. But I am happy with the progress that I made ever since, I had made until I decided to pull out stitches. Of course, I pulled out 1x1 rib stitches. Always a blast to pick up. I think we're good. I am in the middle of a round. I don't have any needle stoppers handy, but whatever. I'll just try not to do that again. Yes, so first up is my Advent project from last year. And so my Advent project last year, I cast on a cozy classic raglan using the Fiber Fox Advent from 2024. Georgie and Ben are geniuses when it comes to colors and fades. And so this fade, I wish I had a picture. If I can find a picture somewhere online of the full Advent minis, I will insert it. But this was a gorgeous fade that started with the palest of pinks and worked through just these gorgeous dusky colors. And I kind of got this idea while working on my Korean poncho that I did a while back, using an Advent as well, where I just knit it to whatever pattern, and then every 8 rounds or so I would switch colors. And because this is so faded and it's just gorgeous and beautiful, it just melted into the next color. So there are no hard lines where the color change happens. Let's see if I can hold it back. It gets really blown out on camera. It's hard to show in pictures because it is so subtle, but in person it's stunning. The neckline I cast on with just a bare yarn, and then I started with day 1 when I continued on starting through the body. I am holding this with a skein of undyed Surrey silk. So it's got that beautiful fluff. I am knitting this on, I think a US 7. Nope, a US 8, so a 5mm needle. And I'm using a US 3 for the 1x1 rib, and that is where I'm at. Now I am ready to finish the hem at the bottom, and 1x1 ribbing is my nemesis. Probably part of the problem for my knuckle that is angry. I've got this is my beginning of round, and then I've been moving this stitch marker every time I change colors so then I can count how many rounds I have. And like I said, I still, even through the hem, I'm changing every 8 rounds, so I've just switched to another color, and it should work out to where I do about 16 rounds, I would think, would get me about 2 inches for the hem. Super gorgeous. I don't know. I'm trying to like get the color to come across. It's so subtle and pretty. Here is the color I just added. So you can kind of see what it looks like without that white fluff on top. And I've got, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 colors left, which obviously I'm not gonna, if I continued on, my body would be so long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep. 8 left, so here is the remaining. You can see how nicely those fade. So these will probably go into another project. I don't know what, but I've got a nice selection here. Maybe a hat. This would be really pretty faded in like a muscle burra or something, but we will think on that. But they won't be going into this project. But I did save the remainder of each mini after I completed my 8 rounds, and I've got them in order, so when I go back to pick up for sleeves, the idea is that the sleeves will match the faded body. And so I should have enough, I would hope. I might do a little bit of weighing just to make sure that I have enough equally for both sleeves as I go through and use the remainder of each mini. If I end up having less rounds, I might have to dip into these extra skeins just to get to the cuffs, but we'll see. I also have contemplated making the sleeves a little bit shorter because, like I mentioned when I was talking about my Doppio, I don't know that I need 2 heavy, fluffy sweaters. And so maybe I keep this one a little bit shorter in the sleeves just to give myself a little bit of breathing room, but it is lighter than the Doppio because it is just a fingering weight plus that fluff. Doppio is closer to a DK worsted weight once you get everything held together, but this one's nice and drapey and beautiful. And the only reason I paused on this, besides my knuckle hurting, was because I ran out of fluff, so I have to go grab another skein and get it caked up so I can finish the body. I was hoping to have the body done before I sat down, but it's not gonna happen. And we'll see how quickly I get through Sleeve Island. Maybe I can do it before December, maybe not. It does seem to go faster when I'm counting my rounds. So whenever I'm doing striping, for some reason it doesn't seem like an endless sea of stockinette. It's just like, oh, I have a short goal in mind. Now my short goal has moved. Now it's moved again. And so it seems to work through a lot faster that way. And maybe I need to remember that for my next project. This is not living in a bag. It's just sitting like this in the middle of my couch, which I've already had. Jazzy has jumped on it and snagged a stitch that I've already had to try to do surgery on. So that's not great. Yeah, this one definitely needs a project bag. My other priority for November, and this one will get done by the end of the month because I am very, very close, is my sleigh on the, what I'm calling my sleigh on the ranch cowl. This is a pattern that I created. I wrote a few years ago, a couple years ago now. It was intended for an Advent pattern. I have knit a flat wrap version, and I have already knit a in the round cowl version. This is my second. This is using my Advent calendar from Chelsea Yarns last year, which was Chelsea at the Ranch or Chelsea on the Ranch. And my pattern is called the Sleigh All Day Wrap or the Sleigh All Day Cowl, which is why I'm calling this my Sleigh on the Ranch. It has grown exponentially since you last saw it. I'm very happy with the progress that I have made. It's getting very large and very hard to show here, and I know I've talked about this at length, so I won't sit and bore you all with the details, but this pattern was my brainchild when I wanted to make a really fun, interesting Advent pattern that kept my attention every single day through the month of December, but didn't get monotonous and didn't seem so overwhelming to get through each day. And so I included some of my favorite stitch patterns for each section. And because I don't like to purl, and I know that there are others out there that don't like to purl, the original wrap, there was a wrong side and a right side, obviously. Battery died. We are back. Because I know that there are people out there that don't like to purl as much as I don't like to purl. In the wrap version, there is a right side that you knit along and then the wrong side that you purl. I went ahead and made a provisional cast on cowl, so you knit it in the round. So there isn't a whole lot of purling in this, if any, which is fantastic. And it goes through the same stitch pattern as the wrap does. So you've got this kind of diamond scallop motif, then you've got a section of brioche, and then this fun little chevron bit, another section of brioche, an easy slip stitch pattern, section of brioche, and then those repeat. So you've got 3 different patterned lace sections, and then each one has a section of brioche in between. And because this is brioche knit in the round, it's a heck of a lot easier to manage and it goes faster, in my opinion. Each section is then divided with some garter rows, and then I have held fluff with the mini in each garter rows, or in each of the garter rows, just to kind of create, I don't know, more visual excitement, I guess, and because I love adding fluff to projects. So I don't know where I was last time I shared it, but I know I have added at least these in very recent weeks. I love this color. I also very much love this color. I don't think these are in order anymore. I think they got pretty jumbled up when I first opened the Advent. This brown, kind of semi-solid brown is nice. So I've just finished up this, getting ready to add the next color. That's where I stopped. And I've only got 4 more. So these are the remainders. And like I said, I don't know which side is, I don't know which one's the 24th day. If any of these are, I'm just grabbing and going. But yeah, so then once I add the last 4 minis in, I will connect. I've got lots of stuff here. You connect the ends with that Kitchener stitch. You can make it a Mobius if you want, similar to this, where it's got that twist in, or you can make it untwisted, up to you. And then this is one that I double up. So I put it on and I'm able to like double wrap it around myself. And it's the coziest, squishiest, nicest cowl. I might be biased, but I love it. I wear my other one all the time. And that one, it's not back here because I wear it all the time. That one I knit in a Fiber Fox Advent calendar from 3 years ago, I think, and that was very jewel toned fade, so it is gorgeous. With the Sleigh All Day wrap and cowl, you can really make it your own as well. So I have modifications in the pattern if you want to do 2-color brioche versus 1-color brioche, or if you want to add a contrast color, maybe you want all of those garter ridges to be like a solid color, and then the 2-color brioche uses that same solid. Adding fluff, not adding fluff, 24-day advent versus a shorter version that uses a 12-day advent. You could also do it with scraps. You could do it with 2 to 3 skeins of stashed yarn. You don't have to use an advent. So lots of options are available in the pattern. Check it out if you're interested. But yeah, that will definitely be done very soon because I only have 4 more sections to go. Very excited about it. Lastly on my works in progress list is something that has completely consumed my life. It is the reason my knuckle is busted today. And I tried to tell myself I was not going to cast this on until I finished my advent projects from last year. The wrap and the sweater. Wasn't gonna do it. I was gonna wait. It was gonna be good. And my brain would literally not let me stop thinking about it. It didn't help that it was all over my Instagram feeds, everywhere. And that is, of course, the new woolen pine design called the Hearthside Cardigan, which is an amazing, amazing brioche cardigan that uses multiple skeins of yarn and or scrap yarn and or advent. I mean, you'd probably need quite a few advent minis. I don't know how many you would need. I haven't figured out that in my brain, but the idea is you stash dive, or you can buy beautiful kits, whatever the case may be, and you marl and melt the colors to this gorgeous cardigan in brioche. I immediately went and looked through my legacy stash. Like, I'm talking, I went down to some of the stash that I don't see on a regular basis. And I was like, I know I have single skeins of yarn, sock yarn, back when I just was buying up random single skeins of sock yarn without a care in the world. They deserve to be used. And so I started stash diving. I'll insert a picture of kind of what I brought upstairs and started playing around with. Among all of this, I had a whole lot of cool tone blues because, hello, if you know me, that's my color palette. And then I had a lot of like purple pinkies, kind of more on the warm vibe. Maybe I got them at one point in time, but they're not really me anymore. Kind of along those lines. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll do like a cool and a warm, and one's foreground, one's background. But then I'm looking at the amount of cool toned scraps and skeins I have, and I was like, there's definitely enough here where I don't think I need to use the warm colors. And so threw those out, played around some more, took another picture, and then took a monochrome picture because another pro tip, if you ever want to see the saturation, or if you're trying to create a fade, like a gradient fade, not necessarily like Fiber Fox version of the fade that we just saw, right, where that was very intentional, but maybe you just want to fade through your random whatever. So you take a monochrome picture and then you can see the light and dark values and play with it that way. So then I thought, okay, I have some really dark darks, so maybe those will be background and the lights will be foreground. But then I'm like, that would make really obvious brioche vertical stripes on the front. Do I want it to be very obvious stripe? This is all like my brain processing, so you're welcome for me just like word vomiting this at you. But this is these are the things my brain would not let me think about anything else. It was churning, constant churning, and I had to figure it out. I had to solve the problem, and I had to cast on. So then I'm like, okay, I don't want obvious vertical stripes. I want it to be more of a cohesive, melty, harmonious vibe. That got me to the point where I took 2 of my darker darks and 2 of my lighter lights, and you start holding 4 skeins of yarn together for the shoulder pieces. That is what I started with, and I'll insert another photo of the ones I started with. I also read somewhere in someone else's projects that if you take a picture each time you change, or maybe each section, it'll be easier to refer back to because you do change so much. So that is why the picture. So this is what I've got so far. Not a whole lot, but enough that I am obsessed. So these were my 4 colors here that I started with. So you hold them together. There's this garter section this is the back panel. So this is the back shoulders. And then this here, where you start the brioche, is like the full back panel. So this will go up and over kind of like that. So I started with the 4 colors, then I kept them separated with the dark and a light for the foreground and a dark and a light for the background, and that's kind of what you see here, where it's all just very cohesive. This is the right side that you're looking at. Then I changed colors and I kind of changed my vibe a little bit. I felt like the darky dark was too dark. It just was throwing it off for me, which looking at it on camera, there's a very obvious line change, but I think it'll be high enough on the shoulder and on the back that it'll be kind of hidden under my hair and maybe it'll be okay. But I changed my mind about 4 times in these couple inches. So you got kind of like, it was just all mixed up to begin with. And then I was like, all right, I'm ditching the dark, and I decided to focus more on putting the darker colors in the background and the lighter colors in the foreground, which is kind of what you see going on here. I like that a lot better. I also like the reverse side even more because every time I knit brioche, I feel like that's the case. I always end up liking the wrong side more. But the idea behind this is to just melt through colors. And so I've got my current 4 colors that I'm using in this little box here. So these 4 I'm currently using. This one is going to come up very soon because I decided with as much blue as I have, I wanted to introduce more purples and just have more visual pops of color throughout because this is very blue. And I don't want just a full blue cardigan. Again, see, my mind keeps changing and I don't know what I really want. So we're just going with it. And at first, my brain really wanted to have the plan made. I wanted to have my notes. I wanted to follow. And then I was like, you know what? No, we're just gonna wing it. I'm just gonna see what colors sing to me, which colors are calling to me, and we are just gonna go on vibes only and see where it takes us. And so that is exactly what I'm doing now. And then my finger crapped out on me. So now this will sit for a day or 2. And the more I look at it, the more I don't know how I feel about the dark at the top. And I'm like, do I need to frog and start over once my finger is not so angry? This is really just a full, like one day, maybe day and a half that I worked on this. So I'm not too terribly far. But again, I don't know that, I feel like it's going to be a trust the process type project. And what I really love, this is going to be a hot take, I really love the 2 versions shown on the project or on the pattern page. The one, the lighter kind of pinky tan brownish, gorgeous. That is made with, I believe, I want to say, is it 10 skeins? 10 full-size skeins of Hue Loco, made specifically for this pattern in conjunction with whatever collaboration with. Those kits are starting at $300, which, I mean, Hue Loco, I get it, like, you're a business. There's no way I'm gonna drop $300 on 10 skeins of yarn right now when I have loads in my stash. But I love those colors so much. The yarns are gorgeous. So I need to just get that out of my head and be like, that's a non-option. It's not going to happen. Use your stash yarn, use your poor yarns that deserve to be put into a project. And then I really love the second version, even though they're not my colors at all, but it's a very autumnal, bright red orange, gorgeous version that another one of the test knitters had made using stash and scraps. And so that is where I'm leaning. I'm leaning into that. The first was made very intentionally with yarn dyed for this project. The second one was made with random, whatever they could find. And they're both beautiful. So this is in my brain. This is why I'm continuing to like use this mantra of trust the process, go with the flow, feel the vibes, just have fun. I'm sorry you just had to sit through that with me. I'll show you what else I've pulled out. Some of these I don't know the names of, some of them I do. I'm trying to list all of the ones that I know for sure on my Ravelry project page. Some of them are scraps and I don't remember. This was You Belong Here. So this was left over from my Doppio. And I did use this one to start. I just clipped it to set it aside because this will be used for the front shoulders, but this was one of the colors that I used to begin. And then this is that dark. And so this is 29 bridges. This was one of the sock sets in the La Mercerie Year of Socks Club or subscription. Gorgeous color. And I love it knit up in the sock tube that I have, but it was feeling too dark with the rest of them. So I clipped it. I will obviously use it for the front shoulder so that looks cohesive, but then I'm gonna swap it out as soon as I hit brioche. This is the White Wizard. So this is the other color from my Doppio. Yeah, it's just super subtle blues and tealy green. Really, really pretty. I've got, this is a Lofty Loops yarn. So this is one of my club colorways. This is left over from Chromatic Yarns from I think a couple winters ago, an Advent color I believe. This one is in my Pop of Color selection, so there's quite a bit more saturated colors here. And then these I found in Deep Stash, as well as the ones I'm already using, but haven't caked up yet. So I've got quite a bit of Dragon Horde yarn, and I thought that would go really nicely. This is Tree Sprite. I've got a merino fingering from Brandy of Long Dog. This is Wove True Wove. So kind of similar vibes as White Wizard, but more saturated, more colorful. And this is also Deep Stash years ago from Yarn Inc. And this is Frozen Heart. So I thought that was a kind of a nice neutral, but it's still got the blue purples. This one is a Rogue one. I don't know. This might end up being like I need a pop of non-blue. This is Fate from Witchfire Fiber. It's stunning. So we'll see. This is the Huntsman from House of a la Mode. This was purchased when Christy and I, a friend of mine, Mama and Amance, we went to VKL in Minneapolis in 2018. I purchased a sweater quantity. She purchased a sweater quantity at Stephen B. This was leftover from her sweater quantity, and I had a leftover skein from mine, and so we swapped. So that's a fun memory. This is the local yarn shop day 2018 colorway that I dyed up for a shop in Omaha. So I've had a skein of that sitting around. This is my Cozy Cabin that I knit socks with. This was an Advent colorway years ago. This is another, I think, Serial Mermaid from Dragon Horde. And then this was a 2018 Hypnotic Yarn Club colorway, I think called like Midnight Lagoon or Mermaid Lagoon, but that's got that purple pop, the really saturated color that I'm probably gonna start introducing. Lots of skeins. Super fun, exciting stuff. Like I said, it's exciting to like find some deep stash from 2018. Here is my collection of like contenders if I was gonna go with kind of the more pinky tones. Here's some of those skeins that I pulled up from Deep Stash for that as well. So I've got those set aside. Maybe we'll see how like I'm feeling with this. Maybe I'll cast on another with the pinky tones, and then maybe that will get me that original that original feel that I wanted. Yeah, so that is, my goodness, all my works in progress. I have no idea how long this video is at this point. I know I said I wasn't gonna talk a whole lot about everything, but I feel like I did. I do have some spinning to share that I will quickly go through. I've got some stash enhancement, 2 months worth. I'm gonna quickly buzz through those. A lot of it's fiber. I did start a cross stitch project, but I didn't get very far on it. So that seems to be the case whenever I cross stitch. I get really excited and I start something and I get like a little bit of the way in and then it just dies, fizzles out. I'm going to share the Color Cube Club for November, which is still open for shop news, and talk a little bit about shop stuff, and then kind of my plans, like what's up next. So I won't talk too much about Advents because I do plan on doing a Vlogmas this year, and so likely before that starts I'm gonna do like a pre-Vlogmas, just update kind of what the plans are for that and kind of step through what that'll look like this year. So let's see, spinning. I've got some spinning. I can't remember if I shared this last time or not, but this was my September Color Cube Club fiber. And so it is all spun up. I don't believe I've washed this yet or soaked it. I just kind of skeined it up to set aside. I also don't believe I've weighed it, measured it, any of that good stuff. I just finished it, set it aside. This is I want to say I 3-plied this. I've already forgotten. That's so bad. Okay, yes, I 3-plied this. I split the braid into 3 equal parts, spun it on 3 bobbins, and then applied them all together. This is on my American Rambouillet fiber, and it's very autumnal. It's very, very pretty. So This is going in my Handspun stash. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm happy to have it. Next, again, not washed. None of my Handspun I'm sharing has been soaked or anything or really finished. It's just been kind of hanging and chilling, and then I did a really quick twist on it to share it. But this is Maed Tea Party by ZZ Textiles. This is a gorgeous braid. Started as a gorgeous braid and is now a gorgeous skein. This one gave me fits. It gave me fits, and it's not the fiber's fault or the braid's fault. It's 100% my fault. So I underspun the singles and had in mind that I was going to chain ply. And if you're a spinner, you know, you almost need to overspin a single in order to chain ply it, because every time I try to chain ply, it just break on me, and I was getting really frustrated. And so it was a pain in my butt. I love the finished product. I'm sad that it happened on a braid that I treasured so much, because it just bummed me out, as opposed to like something that like I had dyed or just, you know, old stash. This one I like really wanted to do well on, and it just gave me fits. But in the end, I ended up splitting the bobbin that I was originally going to chain ply into two. So then I just did a 2-ply, and I actually ended up feeding a good chunk of it back through on my electric eel wheel from Dreaming Robots to give it some more twist. So it was underspun, gave it a little more, and then just plied it back on itself. And honestly, like, I still love it. The only thing that chain plying would have done differently is to keep the colors, the like colors together more and be more obvious. But honestly, I like how the end product ended up. So that is Maed Tea Party. This was a 4-ounce braid. I have no idea. I don't think I measured anything. Oh, okay, I did measure. Yeah, I tried to chain ply to preserve the colors. My singles were underspun and kept breaking. Ended up trying to increase the spin on the singles by separating it onto 2 bobbins, and then I 2-plied those together. I lost a lot of fiber, so I never did weigh it to see how much I have left, but I did end up supposedly with 456 yards of a sport weight. That seems like a lot to me, so maybe I counted wrong. But once I soak, finish, do all the things, then I'll measure it again for real. It's gorgeous though, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it. This next one is so fun. This is Unfazed by Loud Men by Witchfire Fibers. I purchased a set of 3 braids from Jess with the intention of doing something with all 3 of them together. This is the first. Look at those colors. In your face, bright neon pops, hot pinks, so pretty. I just love it. So fun. This is a 2-ply. I split the braid in half, long ways, hot dog ways, and then split it between 2 bobbins. The first one I split that half in half again, and then the second one I split each half again. So I had 4 strips of fiber. I had 2 on the first one, 4 on the second to do kind of a fractal spin. This one, I think I have roughly 353 yards. This is heavier than the other one, the Maed Tea Party. So this is probably closer to a DK weight, or is a DK to worsted. Yeah. There are some spots that are close to fingering, other spots are close to worsted. It's really just, it's not super duper perfect, but that's okay. And I'm really excited for the project that I have in mind for this. Currently on my wheel, I have the next braid from Jess of Witchfire that I bought with the other one. This is half of it. I'll insert some footage of me actually spinning it on the wheel, but I don't have the first bobbin quite done yet. But this is Gaudy Baubles, and so it's still got those bright pink, orange, blue, purpley vibes, but it's also got this really nice kind of golden brown. So I think that these are gonna look really nice together. All of these are Rambouillet, and the third one I got, which now I'm questioning, I think it'll be okay. It might be a little too different for what I have in mind, but we'll see. This is Fate on her fibers. So I had this in a sock set that I shared just a little bit ago. Well, here, it's right here. This is Fate on yarn, and then I had to get it on fiber as well when she had a pre-order and relisted it. So I got this with the other two. It's got the purple, it's got kind of that orangey, really pretty. It might be too light with all of the grays in here. The other ones are much more saturated, but we'll see. But my idea was I want to spin all three and then I want to knit them all three together in a jaunty by Andrea Mowry. And that, if you're unfamiliar, haven't seen it posted all over, is another one that everyone and their mom is knitting right now. It is a half fisherman's rib shawl. And I love half fisherman's rib. It looks like brioche. It's not brioche, easier than brioche. And I really would love to do like a full long shawl in all hand spun that I spun. So that's my plan. This one is a potential. We'll see. I'm gonna spin up Gaudy Baubles, finish that. I'll put these two together. This will definitely still get spun. I just don't know if it's going to end up in the same project or not. I'll see how I feel after they're all done. I'm really finding, or I found during Tour de Fleece, that I'm really loving Rambouillet. Like that's my go-to fiber. I definitely had some others that I really enjoy, but Rambouillet is like my default. If I'm just gonna get a braid to spin, that's what I'm gonna look for. Let's see. I don't have anything on my bullfrog at the moment. I do have something on my Ashford Kiwi that's gonna stay there forever, probably. That's my bat vent from last year. I still need to work through a little bit of that. And then, yeah, nothing on the polywog. I think I'm gonna destash my polywog. It's just too small for me. I don't enjoy spinning on it. I'm a taller person. It isn't comfortable for me. So if you're interested in destashed polywog from Spinolution, shoot me an email because, yeah, we might be willing to work something out. That would be awesome. Okay. Stash enhancements. You ready for the fiber explosion that has come into my house recently? Part of it was, yes, I saw something and had to have it. A lot of it was pre-orders. And so these I had ordered back during even like Tour de Fleece days and around that time, and they have just recently come in. So they all seem to kind of come in at the same time over the last month or so. But yeah, this was not me. I am okay mentally. I am not, like, financially we're good. I didn't, you know, sell my house and then buy the house's weight in fiber all at once or anything like that, I swear. All of this makes me nervous to look at, but the rate at which I'm spinning through a lot of my fiber stash is really good. I was concerned that after Tour de Fleece things would slow down, and they really haven't slowed down. Like, I'm still spinning almost every day, finishing stuff left and right. So feeling much better about things. When Lauren had the Moana collection pre-order, I ended up getting a braid of fiber, I think from each color. I think there was only 3 fiber colorways available. I'm gonna pull them out of the bag so I don't crinkle. This is Rambouillet Silk, and it is 75% Rambouillet, 25% silk, and it is all the stars aligned. Really gorgeous, very saturated blue, super pretty. I'm curious, spinners or fiber purchasers, do you prefer when things come in braids like this where they're kind of spun in this spiral? Or do you prefer like this, where they come kind of folded up? Or, I don't have any currently, but do you prefer when they're left unbraided and they're just, the top is kind of smushed into a bag? I'm just curious. I don't know that I have a preference. These braids are definitely prettier. These braided spirals are prettier to photograph, I know that, but just curious. Just doing a little market survey, you know. This is Moana. This is on Cormo, so 100% Cormo wool. This one could be a potential to add to my others. Like, that has same vibes for sure. The fact that it's a different fiber, I don't know if that's a big deal. I don't know. I'm not super well versed in Cormo either, so I'm curious to see how this spins up, but that is a definite contender to go in for a third skein. And then this is Edge of the Water on Rambouillet Silk. And I love this one. It is stunning. The light's blowing it out just a bit. Here we go. So pretty. And the silk in there just, Yes. I had been introduced to Yarn Jam in the La Mercerie Year of Fiber subscription. So those of you that have been around for a while know that I subscribed to the Year of Socks and Year of Fiber this year. So it's been super fun to get a new fiber braid each month and just find new dyers, both for yarn and fiber. But I really, really, really enjoy Yarn Jam. I'm so glad I found her. She's out of Virginia, and I'm blanking on her name right now. I want to say Trisha, but I love her fiber. I've acquired a lot of it since receiving the subscription braid. But this is Fall Patina on Shanico, which is 100% natural Shanico, and that is a mixture between US Merino and Rambouillet. So a lot of dyers and fiber dyers especially are starting to dye on Shanico because tariffs, getting the wool from the UK, overseas, other places in the world, getting that shipped in, obviously prices have gone up. Shanico is a breed that is bred here in the US, and it is a sheep breed that is mixed with merino and a Rambouillet sheep. So I think I'm saying all that right. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong. But it is US bred, grown, sheared, all the things. So that is why, if you're a spinner, you might have seen a lot of Shanico hitting the scenes recently, and that is part of the reason. But anyway, back to this gorgeousness. This is Fall Patina. I fell in love with the colors when I saw it, grabbed a braid for myself. Thought I had more Yarn Jam, and maybe I did. Maybe I already shared it. I don't know where it went. Maybe I already stashed it away. But a couple of the braids, I'll share a couple of the ones that I got in the recent months from the Year of Fiber. I don't remember which months these were in, but they are just sitting here. They haven't been stashed away yet or used. But this doesn't have a colorway. It is 23 micron merino from Bella Filato Studio. Really pretty, really, really pretty. If you're interested in any of these, by the way, La Mercerie, if you go to shoplamercerie.com, their website, a lot of the times they will have leftover braids and leftover sock sets from the subscription. So many, many times, if you see something you like, they will have extras in the shop after shipping the subscriptions out. So definitely go check if any of these are like, ooh, must have. Witchfire Fibers, which you've seen a lot of. I'm a big, big fan of Jess. This is her Heathered Merino, and it is September Reverie. Super pretty. Love those colors as well. And then this came, I think most recently, yep, this was November's. So this is Hello Lavender. Super pretty color as well. Doesn't have a colorway name, just says Year of Fiber November. It is Rambouillet. So I love getting these and being able to just, test out new to me folks. I think here's my sock that came with November as well, I think. Because each dyer for fiber and sock sets, they each get the same mood board. So it's fun to see, especially if you're getting both, the way that each dyer kind of interpreted the mood board. And this is Callisto Sock from Crow and Crescent Yarn, and it is Foggy London. Paisley, is it Paisley Knits? I feel like I did this last time. Paisley Knits, Coley, her name is Coley. She had an update where she had some of her leftover, I don't know if they were leftover or what they were, but it was ready to ship essentially, update. So I grabbed 4 braids from her. This is Beauty is Terror, and this is Falkland Merino. She is a Canadian dyer. Beauty is Terror. This is Volcanic on Blueface Luster. This is Cephalopod on Polworth. And I think my personal favorite is the Sagani, BFL Silk. This might actually be a fun one to kind of combo spin with Edge of the Water. Kind of same vibes. And then most recently, just wanted to share the last couple clubs I got in from Freckled Whimsy. This is the monthly club, I believe. This is Hot Cider and Hayride. This is November 2025. It is a 12 stripe repeat. very autumnal. And I always get her Splendid base, which is a 8515 superwash merino nylon. It is 4-ply and it is scrumptious. And then this was the Wednesday club called Every Artist Needs Their Own Signature. It is a 6-stripe repeat. And that is it, I believe, for enhancements. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but this has already gone on long enough and I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it. So there we are. I did, when I was digging through stash to find those single skeins for the Hearthside, I found, I grabbed a couple of my Christmas sock colorways that I kind of circulated to the top. So these are on my next up on the sock needles after I finish my Halloween color. This is, again, Freckled Whimsy. This is a very Freckled Whimsy heavy episode. This is Peppermint Mocha. I bought this, I think, sometime early this year or last year. It's a 7-stripe repeat. And then this one is on her Serendipity base, which is a 75-25. And it is You, Me, and the Christmassy. This was a leftover or an extra from the Christmassy Yarn Club in 2024. This was October's colorway. That is a 6-stripe repeat. So two Christmas sock colorways coming up shortly. Those are, going to be very, very soon, I'm sure. I know I talked through my Spincycle stash enhancements earlier, but I did also get this one very recently from Starlight Stitching Society, maybe, I think. I wanted to order some more 9-inch circular sock needles, which I did. So I always use Xiaogu's 1.5, 2.25 millimeters. Wanted to grab some more of those. And I think I saw that they had their own, when I was ordering online from the shop, they had their own dyed in the wool colorway from Spincycle. So, it fell into the cart. But this is Andromeda, so that'll go into my Spincycle stash. Spincycle, I want to say I'm probably done. I have plenty of it now, lots of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 skeins that aren't in projects. That seems like a lot. So I'm probably done. And the reason why is because I have a lot of handspun, but also each one of these is 50 grams. It is a sport weight, 50 grams, 200 yards, and it is $34, which seems very pricey. I mean, it is very pricey. It is very much a luxury purchase, and that's one of the main reason why I've steered clear of it for so long, because I could not justify spending the $34 on 200 yards of yarn. But then I wanted to try it out, so I did, and then apparently I can't just dip a toe in. I've got to stick my whole foot in, and so I stuck my foot in and then fell in, and now I am putting a hold on the Spincycle stash. It will be a maybe once a year splurge, treat myself type situation if the need arises. But for now, I think I have plenty stashed away. I will work through that, and I really want to focus on handspun into 2026. So, wow, I've got all sorts of stuff just laying around me. I'm so glad I'm sitting down to do this. Last quick chit chat I just wanted to share because these are freshly done, and then I will say my goodbyes and let y'all get back to your lives. Plus it's getting rather warm. November Color Cube Club. So each month in the shop, I have a Color Cube Club, which is where I pull a card from my Color Cube. And I get questions about this all the time, so let me just grab the cube. I got hit with a whole bunch of ads for this on Instagram last year, no, 2 years ago now, I think. This is a Color Cube. Inside this box, here's all the info. Color Cube Club, Volume 1 by Sarah Renee Clark. There you go. She had this genius idea to create a box of color palettes for, digital artists. What do you call it? Non-digital artists. My gosh, my mind is blanking. Whatever. Anyone that might need to come up with a color palette. So whether you're an artist, you're drawing, you're painting, you're dyeing yarn, whatever the case may be, anytime you just need to be inspired by a color palette, this is where this comes in. And there are 250 cards in here. Each one has a different color palette and picture on it. On the back, there are hex codes, different shades of these colors. Fantastic, especially as in my day job, as a web designer, developer. Love having these for inspiration for color palettes when helping with like branding, things like that. But I decided to take these, and last year I started this. Each month I would use random number generator, pick a number between 1 and 250, and that would be the card that I would pull for that month, and then I would take that palette and dye yarn based on that. That meant that it was absolutely 0% biased by my own feelings. I feel like if it were up to me, everything would be blue and purple. But because I didn't want to have my own bias thrown in whatever I was dyeing every month for the club, I got things like this. I would have never picked these colors for myself. Never in a million years. And that's happened so many times throughout this club, and I love it. It stretches me as an artist. It makes sure that I am including all the colors and like even greens. And I've done a lot of oranges recently, which again, not in my repertoire, not what I tend to gravitate toward. But the fun part of all of this is most of the time, this was completely randomly drawn for November, but how perfect is this palette and the picture for November? This is what my trees look like outside right now. This was not picked on purpose. I drew number 138 for the month of November. It's just the way it works. It was meant to be. So I take this palette, I dye up yarn, and I have one skein because I was playing the game of is it still wet? This one is still damp, so I will take it back outside and let it dry fully because it was in fact not just cold, it is still damp. But here is the sock set for the month of November. So it looks like crispy leaves. Honestly, it looks like the changing leaves on the tree. It's got all those beautiful browns, the golden browns, oranges, and yellows. Super pretty. And then you get a orange mini skein for contrasting heels, toes, cuffs, whatever you want to do with it. I will be letting these dry fully, posting pictures up on Instagram here in the next couple days, but it is still open. So if you like this and you want some, November clubs are open. They will remain open probably until the end of next week. And then I will shut them down so I can get them dyed up and shipped out. And we do have Thanksgiving and all of that is coming up. Black Friday is going to cause a heck of an influx of just postal service packages that are going. So I want to try to beat all of that and get clubs out before Thanksgiving, if at all possible. So keep that in mind. But my favorite part has been introducing fiber to the mix. So this is November's club dyed up on Rambouillet. And you guys, this is so pretty. It's not something I would have picked to spin for myself, but seeing it now, I'm like, oh yeah, this one might end up in my stash. So again, I was saying, do you prefer these swirlies? Do you like when they're like folded up on themselves? Do you like seeing it like that? Do you like when it's unbraided and it's just one long thing of roving? Curious, but it always just looks so pretty swirled up like that in a gorgeous little braid. These are also available for pre-order. I have Rambouillet fiber, 4-ounce braids, as well as Shanico silk that I am offering. So if that's your thing, check it out, get you some, get it ordered, and I will ship it out hopefully the week of Thanksgiving, hopefully before, might be after, we'll just see timeline wise. And then December's, since we're all here and chatting, chit-chatting, this is going to be December's colorway palette. So again, happy that it's not obviously Christmas colors, but it is giving, like obviously the picture is a gorgeous bouquet of roses, but it's kind of giving like vintagey Christmas, like baubles, you know, a little bit, maybe, I don't know. So these will be the colors I'm working with for next month. Super exciting. And I will be continuing the Color Cube Club into the next year. So check it out if you're interested. Yeah, let me check my notes. I think that's all I have to talk about. I feel like I've been talking forever. Yep, that's all I've got. Vlogmas is happening. So excited for Vlogmas. I do have my own advent calendar. I have one from Hannah of Chromatic Yarns coming. Or no, it's already here. Sorry, it's here. I might have just panic splurge purchased another one that I wasn't intending to have, but they went up, extras went up, and I just impulses, it happened. So I will have 3, which I will talk about in more depth in an upcoming video, but because I have such solid plans for the first two, I was like, this third will just be like we'll see what patterns come out early December, and there might be something that, you know, I want to cast on. So that is the reason for the third. And I really had every intention of paring down this year. And then I have a fiber advent coming from Little Fiber Co., Lauren over at Little Fiber Co., which I will be spinning up through the month of December. And then I have 2 sock sets. I've got Freckled Whimsy's advent and Cozy Knitters advent. So those are both self-striping. And I just love working on those striped advent socks every year. So yeah, seems like a lot, but it's honestly less. It's been in years past. And I'm very excited about the solid plans that I have for each one of these as we head into December, because usually I'm flailing and changing my mind so many different times, but this one I do have solid plans for, and I'll chat about those here in the next couple weeks. My goal is to not go so long in between videos. 2 months is just too long. And at the rate I've been making things and working on things recently, it really needs to be sooner. So knowing that next month is Vlogmas, I don't know that there will be another sit down podcast until January. But you will see what I'm working on through next month, and everything else is gonna kind of sit on the back burner for the month of December anyway. So heading into 2026, I'm saying this out loud, I'm manifesting, I'm promising you all, I want to do at least 1 video a month, at least. I would love to get back into my every 2 weeks rhythm, especially now that things in my life have kind of like smoothed out and settled down. At least once a month though. So you can expect another long format video in January, but I really hope that you stick around for December, because it's about to be really exciting and really fun. And Vlogmas is my favorite time of year. If you have a Vlogmas, or if you have favorites, I would love for you to drop them in the comments below. I feel like a lot of my favorites have stopped doing them over the years. Some of the people that I have gone back to, they don't do it anymore. Even with podcasts, I feel like there's been kind of like this, things are shifting and changing, and some of my favorite people aren't posting as often or as much. And so I'm always on the lookout for new folks to watch, new people to share in the fibery joy with. Let's see. Let's do a giveaway, because if y'all sat with me through that entire friggin' thing, then you guys deserve something good. And so, okay, full disclosure, these are deep stash skeins from my personal stash. I found them when I was looking through for my cardigan. I was going to add them to the shop's D-stash, but I think let's give them away. Let's have fun. Let's share in the joy of going through deep stash. I will say that I have a cat-friendly house. She's typically far away from where I keep my especially legacy stash that's all packed away. But just know that there is a cat in my home, so I'm sorry if you are allergic. And because these have been sitting around for a few years, chances are she's probably got some of her little touch of spice on there somewhere. I'm sure there's a cat hair floating around here or there. But I've got 2 skeins here. Somehow it is Midnight Lagoon. So this is that same cake that I showed earlier from Hypnotic Yarn. Somehow I have 2. I don't know how that happened. I don't know, but I'm using the one in my cardigan. I've got another one here. It says it's the August 2018 Mystery Club. It is an oldie. So yes, we'll give this one away. And then I also have 2 skeins of this that I don't know. I don't think I bought them both the same. I don't know how it happened, but I was getting a lot of Tristan's yarn for a while. So I have a lot of Tristan's stuff, Dragon Horde yarn and deep stash that I just don't gravitate towards anymore. But I have 2 skeins. Like I said, I pulled the other one up as a potential for my cardigan, and I was going to de-stash this one. This is Chaos on her Lore sock base. It is an 85, 15, 100 grams, 436 yards. So Chaos, and then this is a 2-ply fingering. It doesn't even say, but it is a 2-ply superwash merino. So we'll give these away. Let's say, what do we want the special word to be? Let's just say stash. S-T-A-S-H. Stash. So if you comment the word stash anywhere in your comment below, I will do a random draw and pull 2 winners. One will get this one, the other will get this one. It's going to be a surprise to you just because logistically I don't want to make people have to choose and then have to like figure all that out. So you will get one or the other. So very much purple, blue, you know the vibe, you know the vibes here. So yeah, we'll give these away. Comment stash below. And then before Vlogmas hits, I will draw a winner. So maybe in the first Vlogmas. Oh, it did have a label. It's gone. Fun fact, if you use you can't even see it on camera. If you use a thermal printer and you put tape over it, it will fade the print. So if you're ever shipping anything and you're using a thermal printer to print your shipping label, do not put packaging tape over it. It will fade out the whole part that's under the tape, which is exactly what happened here. That barely says it is Hypnotic Yarns Treat Your Feet base, 80% superwash merino, 20%. Yeah, so it's the 400 yards, 100 grams. This is same as my Lofty sock base. But yeah, fun facts. All right. There we are. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I appreciate your patience. For those of you that keep coming back, you guys are the best. And for spending time with me. I'm so happy. I feel so relieved to have sat down and chatted through all that stuff. It was a lot. I'm even more relieved that I have my office space back because, you know, just a week ago, this whole chair was like overflowing with advents and prep and packaging materials, and over here, like there's the whole floor. You could barely walk. I had a little tiny like circle I could walk in. It was very overwhelming. But they're all out. All advents have shipped out. All the extras have been listed and have been purchased. And I do right now have a pre-order up if you want to grab the day 25 skein. So that is open now for probably a few more days and I'll shut that down. Those will ship out mid-December. Yeah, but I'm very much looking forward, now that I can breathe again, very much looking forward to the upcoming month. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of November. Maybe we'll chat again before the end of November, maybe not, but I definitely hope to see you coming back December. That's all for now. Talk soon. Thanks y'all. Bye.